Welcome everybody to the Latin Nerds Network. My name is Jose and this is my review for Candyman. Of course, Candyman, a remake of the 1992 horror classic, and I use the term classic incredibly loosely. But that being said, I remember seeing that film, when it came out. I was much younger and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I always like a good kind of slasher horror film. Particularly that was the thing back in that time in the 80s and 90s. But like most of those 80s and 90s horror films, they don't quite hold up as much. I haven't seen this in a while, but I'm venturing to guess if I were to watch it, I probably wouldn't like it as much as I did back in the day. That being said, this was primed to be remade, give a nice fresh take on the film here. So as a horror fan, I was very excited about that. Now, of course, Candyman, in this situation, the original, of course, played by Tony Todd, who was great in the role, and he's done a lot of things since then. But he's kind of taken a back seat, and center stage now is Yahya Abdul Mateen, who plays the main character. He's a young up and coming artist. He discovers this gruesome and horrific past of the neighborhood he lives close by, and he finds that, uses that as inspiration to come up with his new artwork. But unfortunately, he gets consumed by this idea of what happened, and this Candyman, this a legend, a ghost story, if you will, about a guy with a hook, whose name you say 5 times in the mirror, and he comes out and he kills you. And eventually, he gets consumed so much by it that he kind of, everything comes to fruition. He realizes that yes, Candyman is a reality. It's true. He's out there. So now he's dealing with that and how he's involved and how he's connected to that, et cetera, et cetera. So interesting premise. It takes some liberties than the original did, from what the original did, and that's fine. I can appreciate that, but basically it's almost the same thing in terms of just the very basic premise. Now this one here is directed by Nia Da Costa. She's a new up-and-coming director. She's actually going to be directing Miss Marvel for the MCU, so good for her. And it's produced and partly written by Jordan Peele. Of course, Jordan Peele has gotten a lot of fame over the last few years in movies like Get Out and Us. He produced other things like, I think the Twilight Zone, etc. So, I'm a Jordan Peele fan to a degree. I know he has his fans. I know he's got some detractors. And, there's some issues I have with him. Who kind of rear its ugly head in this film, which is a problem because, and I'll say this, because I'm as a horror fan, I expected a good take on this classic horror film, right? And that's what I wanted to see. And they're kind of advertising that. But unfortunately, that's not what we get here. Yes, this is an attempt at a horror film, but it doesn't succeed. And as a horror film, it doesn't work. It's just not scary. There's some cool scenes in there. The direction by Da Costa is fine. There's some cool shots, good imagery and all that, but it's just not a horror film. It never sets up that way. And there was no moment of you caught in attention, like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going to happen? It lacks that severely. And as a horror fan, it's incredibly disappointing. Now, doesn't mean this movie's bad. No, but at the end of the day, it's just not a good horror film. It's an okay mystery thriller than a horror film. So if that's what you're looking for, look elsewhere. This isn't it. And besides the horror, I'll give you an example. Like all the kills happen off screen, with the exception of the first two, which kind of happen simultaneously. Every other kill, for the most part, is off screen. That's the kind of stuff you want to see in this kind. It's a slasher film, right? It's supposed to be, and that's what you want to see, and you just don't get that here. But the biggest issue here for me is the writing. Now, listen, I get Jordan Peele. He's very socially conscious, right? And in this social climate, I get it. His movies have a thematic. It's a lot of themes about racism and all that, and I get that. As a person of color, I understand that, and particularly in film. Listen, this is no. There's not a secret. Latinos are the most underrepresented race in film and TV. Period. It's not even close. So I get it. But part of what Jordan Peele is that he's as subtle as a volcano here. He just hammers it home, and he's so obvious and on the nose. It's virtually eye-rolling, that. And there's always talks here about gentrification, white supremacy, police brutality. It's all here, and I get it. But in a horror film, I just want to have a good time and have fun and escape all that stuff that kind of plagues us, and it has been over the last few years. And there's nothing wrong with bringing that up, and that's fine. But it's almost too much, and it takes away from the film. So much so, and a couple people didn't notice this, but when we were talking about afterwards, I was like, listen, with the exception of with one flashback scene, every person Candyman kills is white. And the majority of the cast is black. So do the math here. Yeah, Jordan Peele hates white people. That's not what I'm trying to say, but maybe he does. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care, and I can understand it. But all the cops are white. all dying, all white, and everyone else who's all white. And it's like, okay, not for nothing, but I like my slashers to be, to kill indiscriminately. Kill everybody. It's okay, white, black, Latino, Asian. It's all good. It just don't have to kill the white guy. Get it, whitey's bad. He's the man. Fine. But can we move away from that a little bit, have some fun here? And that's what this movie really lacked, and it's really disappointing. So ultimately, if you're a horror fan, this is not for you. If you like good film, if you're a huge fan of Jordan Peele, sure. But that being said, taken away, it's just an okay movie. It's not a big deal here. It really isn't. It's not really worth watching in the theaters at all, in my opinion. Wait, if you're dying to see it or really want or curious, watch it at home. Obviously, is it worth COVID? And it depends on where you stand on that. Probably not. But ultimately, I don't recommend you guys watch this. So disappointing, yes, not a terror movie, but just not a very good one. Ultimately, you guys see it. Of course, I get it. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Were you big fans of the Candyman? Let me know. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.